Hey guys, it's Justine here from I Should Read That, and today I am doing the first part of my 2K celebration. I am doing a Q&A with questions sourced from you guys. So I say that this is the first part. The second part will be a booktuber shout out video, which is going to be coming up later, so definitely stay tuned for that one. But this video will feature all of your questions, or as many questions as I could fit in, from you guys, because you guys asked a ton of stuff and I'm really grateful, thank you. There's kind of this fear of like throwing yourself a birthday party and no one showing up, of me like doing a Q&A and no one asking any questions. So I'm so happy that you guys had so many questions for me. I did have to do a bit of a cutoff at some point, so there's some that didn't make it into this video, and I'm really sorry. I will hopefully do another Q&A in the future, so hopefully I'll be able to answer those questions then. But the way that this kind of broke down was I've got lots of book questions, like book-related and reading-related stuff, and then I have some non-book questions, and then a bunch of questions about Scottish husband or for Scottish husband. So for the first half I'm going to do book stuff, and then for the second half I will bring in Scottish husband and he can go ahead and join me for this, which should be really fun. It's always fun to have him on the channel, and I think the last time he did a video with me was just over a year ago, which was just after we got married. So that was pretty cute. I'll link that above if you're interested in seeing us being really giddy because we'd just come back from our honeymoon. But I am going to first do book questions. So this is kind of where the majority of these questions come from. I'm just gonna go ahead and get started now. So the first question is, how did you get over your initial stage fright while filming videos? This one is actually from Scottish Husband, and he's probably cackling while watching this because I was terrified of filming videos. We used to live, when I started doing this, we used to live in this really echoey flat, and I would make him like go into the bedroom and put headphones on, and I'd like check on him just to make sure that he wasn't listening in, because I was absolutely mortified about like not only filming but like having someone hear me film. Now I couldn't care less, but yeah, I was just had this like, it's just absolute horrible fear of him like overhearing me and laughing at me or something, which is really dumb because I was literally recording myself to put myself onto the internet for lots of strangers to laugh at me. But there's something about like him listening in that I just couldn't deal with. So yeah, I used to sit in our living room, our very echoey living room, and we had like one of those wooden IKEA like loungy chair type things, and I had my phone like strapped to one of those tripods with the bendy legs, like attached to the front of, or to the back of the chair in front of like the little bookcase that came with our flat, and like I would do videos that way, and it was a horrible experience to like get over my fear and everything like that, but I'm really glad I stuck with it. I don't know why I stuck with it, because I really didn't enjoy it, but I liked kind of like having my thoughts up on YouTube, so I am glad that I stuck with it, but I don't know why I put myself through that. The next question is, what has been your favorite moment on Booktube? I think, I don't know if I have like a specific moment, but I am going to be really cheesy and say that my favorite, I guess my favorite kind of like more nebulous moment is finding out that there are people who had really similar tastes in books to me and becoming friends with those people. I have never really had friends who read, and my friends who did read didn't read as much as me and didn't read the same things as me. And my family reads a ton, but they don't read the same things as me. So it was really just me and this little like Brandon Sanderson, Robert Jordan like vibrating bubble of excitement with no one to talk to, no outlet for any of that. So when I discovered blogging, and I made a couple of friends through blogging, that was great. But it was when I discovered Booktube and started to kind of grow my channel and talk to other people and become friends with other people, that was like truly amazing and like game-changing for me. So it's a little bit cheesy, but I think that's probably my favorite moment from Booktube. What book do you wish you could erase from your memory, either to read again or have never read? I don't know about never read. Oh, there's a lot of books that I really hated that I've read. Probably, I'd probably say The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, because when I read it, I didn't really have any kind of context for how much people loved it, how important it was for a lot of people, because I was very sort of distanced from sort of LGBTQ issues and things like that, and stuff like found family and how important that stuff is for a lot of people. One of the best things about the book community has been the fact that I've like been able to understand these things a lot more, because I was very much in my like straight white bubble. And I don't think that when I read that book initially, although I loved it, obviously, I don't think I quite understood how big of an impact that kind of book would have on other people's lives. So I'd probably say The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. If you had to pick one favorite author from each genre, what would it be? Oh my god. Okay. This is a hard one. I'm gonna pick sci-fi, fantasy, and historical fiction, because those are the three genres that I tend to read the most. Oh god. Oh no. Oh god. Okay. Okay, I got this. Okay, so for sci-fi, it's probably going to be Adrian Tchaikovsky, who wrote Children of Time and Children of Ruin, because I really love his sci-fi books. I've read some of his fantasy, and I don't love it as much as his sci-fi. His sci-fi is just like spot on and perfect. In terms of fantasy, that's really hard. Like really, really hard. Probably, I don't want to have to answer this. Probably, in terms of the author that I've read the most of and loved, like pretty much everything that I've read of his, it's probably Joe Abercrombie, because I've read 6 of his books. No, 5 of his books, and I've loved pretty much all of them. So I'd say that's probably a safe bet. Although, like, there's so many other authors, oh my god. Oh, and then there's historical fiction. Historical fiction, I would probably say I really love Laura Purcell's historical fiction books, because they combine historical fiction and kind of gothic-y spookiness, and that like combination of genres is so good, and she's amazing at writing it. So I'd say she's probably my favorite for historical fiction. Although again, there's so many people I could pick from. Oh god. The next question is, what are some of your favorite videos that you've made during your time on Booktube? I really love my favorite fantasy and favorite sci-fi videos. Not only were they really fun to film, I kind of put them off for a really long time because I didn't want to have to like choose. As you can see from the previous question, I'm really bad at choosing favorites. I didn't want to have to pick and like limit myself to a certain number of series, but I ended up doing it. I just kind of like, when I did my fantasy one, which is the first one that I did, I just was like, whatever, I'll just do it. And it was so much fun. It's like 40 minutes long because there's so much stuff on there, and all of it I was really excited to talk about. But I think that I had the most fun doing those videos, and I get so much joy when people still comment on them because they're a little bit older now. I think I did my fantasy one in 2019, and then I did the sci-fi one earlier this year, and when I see people commenting, oh, you should read this, or oh, I love this too, it's just like, it brings me so much joy. So I'd probably say those. What is your favorite and least favorite type of video to film? I love filming book hauls because there's just so much exciting stuff to talk about, and even though I don't know like what half of the books are about because I'm one of those booktubers, I just love getting myself excited to talk about these books and like getting all these new things and new releases, especially things that were sent to me by publishers that I didn't necessarily know about before, say, the email came through when they offered it to me. That is always really exciting, and seeing that other people are really excited about those books too is really fun. So I really love book hauls. I'm less keen on wrap-ups, just because I have to sit there and rack my brain and be like, I read this 3 weeks ago, what did I think of it? I really don't like doing new release videos, ironically, because it's a pain to like, so basically the software that I use is the free one on Windows, which doesn't have the thing to put the images in, and this is probably more technical than you were expecting. So I basically have to edit the video, export it, and then go into a different video editor that I have no idea how to use but has the image thingy, and then I have to put the images in there, and then I have to re-export it again, and it just takes a long time, which makes me really grumpy. But also the fact that often it's like, I'm really excited for this book to come out. I don't really know what it's about, but I swear I'm really excited about it. And I feel like they're just not that fun for people to watch, although people do watch them. So I don't know, maybe I just need to adjust my attitude or something. This is a good one. What fictional characters would you invite to a dinner party? This is fun because most of my favorite characters are awful, awful people. I really like terrible, terrible characters, like morally gray characters who probably rob me and probably make a mess and trash my place. So I would say Gandalf would be really fun to have at a dinner party. He'd be full of stories and would probably be stoned half the time, so that would be fun. I would also love to have Kelsier from Mistborn, who would also be a good like dinner guest, probably do lots of party tricks and keep us all entertained. And then Syzyx from The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet would be an amazing dinner guest, and she'd like bring food with her, like she'd definitely bring dessert. So I feel like I'd like to invite them. Oh, also Professor McGonagall, another great party guest. Okay, this is another good one. If you could have one pet/creature from a book to join your household, who would that be and what would the cats think? Mogget. Mogget from Sabriel, for sure. I love Mogget so much, and if you haven't read Sabriel and you like audiobooks, you should listen to the audiobook because Tim Curry is the narrator and his Mogget voice is incredible. So basically Mogget is like a very powerful ancient magical being who has been trapped in the body of a very, very fluffy white talking cat. Mogget is amazing. Mogget would definitely get on probably well with Dax and would probably have some trouble with Sophia because Sophia's definitely like top cat in this house, and Mogget, just the fact that Mogget is Mogget, would definitely take over that spot, so I don't think she'd be thrilled. What type of vlog do you enjoy most? I really enjoy the vlogs that focus really tightly on one book. I've only done one of these so far, and that was for the 5th season, and I really enjoyed that. I found that I could sort of focus much better. I felt like I didn't have as much kind of like just me yammering for filler. I didn't feel sort of the pressure to like talk about my life and stuff, because usually my life is quite quiet. And yeah, I really enjoyed having that really tight focus. I am planning on doing more of these kinds of vlogs, starting with Twilight. I'm going to read Twilight for the first time as an adult. I've only ever read the first book, and then I never bothered with the rest of them. I think it came out when I was 18, so I'd slightly aged out of it. But yeah, I'm going to read Twilight and the whole series, and I'm going to do vlogs for each of those, and then I'm thinking of other books that I can do vlogs for, because I really, really enjoy that. For me personally, it's much more fun than actually doing like a proper vlog, because as I said, my life's just not that interesting. I sit in the flat, I go to work, or right now I sit in my flat and I work. Like, there's not really a whole lot going on here. What is your favorite epic fantasy series? And could we get a video about some of your favorite and least favorite tropes in the genre? Favorite series would be really hard. Really, really, really hard. I love Joe Abercrombie's First Law series. I love The Wheel of Time, although I have not finished it yet. I love the City of Brass series, the David series. Basically pretty much everything that is in that favorite fantasy books video. I just have so much trouble picking favorites, as we've already discussed. And although I have been really bad about finishing series for much of my reading life, I am trying to get better at that now. So hopefully I can add more like complete series to that list. In terms of favorite and least favorite tropes, that's a really, really good idea. I'm gonna have to think on that, but I can tell you right now that some of my favorites are ones that cross over from other genres. So I will always love A Marriage of Convenience. I will always love the There's Only One Bed. These are all romance tropes. And I will always love Enemies to Lovers and Friends to Lovers when it's done really well, because otherwise it doesn't quite work. See the Grisha trilogy. So the next question is about series. So how do you manage your series? Do you stress about having too many in progress? Do you prioritize finishing series or let series stay unfinished indefinitely? And do you have any advice for keeping them under control? So as I said, I have always been really bad about finishing series. I just never, for some reason, until the past couple of years, never really felt the need to finish series, which I know is crazy. Pretty much until Wheel of Time came around and I got really invested in Wheel of Time. bear in mind I've been reading that series for 9 years, so the urgency isn't quite there. But I just never really, I don't know, I am one of those people who can finish a book and then immediately start the next one. And I also am not good at binging series. I have to have something in between. So what would happen is I would finish a book and intend to keep going, or would just completely forget about it, and then I would read something new, and then read something new, and then read something new, and suddenly it's 2 years later and I have no idea what happened in that series. That is why I have things like the Farseer trilogy on my TBR, even though I've read 2 of the 3 books. It's been so long. so long, and I never ended up finishing it. So I don't know if I'm the best person to go to for advice on that, but I do think that having TBRs and reading schedules, if those work for you, is definitely a really good way to make sure that you're actually maintaining your series reading, because otherwise there's just so much good stuff out there. What is your favorite sci-fi dude bro comment you've ever received? I have had a few. Weirdly, less about fantasy and more about sci-fi. It's usually, especially my earlier videos, less so now, but it's usually dudes coming into my comments and being like, well, have you ever read Dune? Because Dune is like this literary masterpiece. And I'm like, yes, I fucking read Dune. Of course I've read Dune, but also if I haven't read Dune, who cares? It's not like the end-all be-all of sci-fi books. It's fine. So that always made me very annoyed. I have had a couple people make awkward, like, comments about my looks and stuff like that, which is deeply uncomfortable. Again, happens a lot less now. I think the majority of my viewers are female. I think I'm like 98% female in my stats, which makes me really happy. So I don't get stuff like that very often anymore, but it has happened, and it's like, just kind of expanding on this one, in terms of like just annoying comments I've gotten on here, I, for a weird stretch of time, had a huge number of people commenting on my accent, which is a very strange thing to comment on, because I think that I'm like super generic American California, but of course I do live in the UK and have for 5 years almost now, so obviously some of that creeps in and some of the terminology and stuff creeps in. And I don't mind people asking about my accent or where I'm from or anything like that. It's just people being like, your accent's really weird, what's wrong with it? It's just like, what? What is your least favorite part of Booktube? Let the salt flow? Question mark. I love this. So there's a lot of kind of bits around sort of doing videos and stuff that I don't love. So I don't love kind of the feeling of pressure to keep up an exact schedule. Like, I post on this day and this day every week, because that's just not really how my brain works. And also I work full time. I would like to see my husband occasionally, and also like I want to be able to read and stuff. I want to kind of like live my own life. I do other things outside of Booktube, and I feel like that pressure is something that I'm only just getting over, and I'm coming on 3 years of Booktube. What video would you never make and why? I don't know if there's anything that I would like never ever make. I don't think I would ever do anything like I don't know, that involves more than just me talking about books. Anything that, like, I don't want to say creative, because obviously this is all creative, but stuff like doing outfits based on book characters, or doing like skits and stuff like that, because that's just not really me at all. That would probably be the only thing. I like to just sit here and talk about books. I don't want to have to like do other stuff. This is an interesting one. Have you always wanted to work in publishing? So I do indeed work in publishing. It was kind of like a light bulb moment. I basically had graduated with my, no, I hadn't graduated yet. I think it was in my senior year of college, and I was doing my literature degree. I found out that there was a publishing like course at my university, and I was super annoyed that I had never realized that before, otherwise I would have taken classes. But I remember I was in the city, I was in New York with my sister, and she just kind of casually went, oh, have you ever thought about like library sciences? And there was this huge light bulb that went off in my head. And then from library sciences, because I realized I'd have to take like computer science classes to get my master's in that, and I didn't want to do that. it turned to publishing and book publishing. So I haven't always wanted to work in publishing, but as soon as I realized that was an option, I was like, yes. So I started out as an intern at a literary agency, which was great, and I have many a story. And then I took a big break because I couldn't get a job in publishing. It was like 2007, 2008. It was really rough. And then I worked in finance for a long time, and I met Scottish husband, who is then nice internet boyfriend. And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get my publishing master's and I'm going to work in publishing. That's what I do. I work in academic publishing now. I work in the production department. We basically turn manuscripts into books. But I have also worked in marketing as well. So it's been a bit of a publishing journey, but it is really what I want to do. What is your favorite book of the year so far? This would have had a very different answer if I had filmed this a week ago. I think my favorite book of the year so far is Middle Game by Seanan McGuire. I will link that review that I've just done up in the top so you can go ahead and check that out. But it was just as weird and wonderful and complex and has siblings, and it just made me so happy. It's such a good book and you should really read it if you like kind of weird stuff. Oh, this is so shady. If you could only read one book for the next year, which Becky Chambers book would it be and why? I know who sent this. You're so rude. I love it. Probably A Closed and Common Orbit. I love that book. It's my favorite of Becky Chambers books. Half of it is really okay, but the other half, the other storyline is amazing. So I've got my eye on you. Okay, the last bookish question. Oh god, this sucks. Would you rather read only books from your favorite author for the rest of your life, or read any other book you want, but never books from your favorite author for the rest of your life? Guys, this is hard. Why are you doing this to me? I think maybe because I have such a difficult time choosing just one, I would say any other book from my favorite author, or any other book other than my favorite author for the rest of my life. God, that's hard. Because would my favorite author be constantly churning out amazing books in this scenario? And I would have loads of reading material? Or would I be reading like the same 3 Becky Chambers books over and over again? Or would I like not be able to read any of my favorite authors because I have multiple favorite authors for the rest of my life? That would really suck. Oh god. Okay, so now we're moving on to non-book stuff. So we're gonna do a little bit of time travel here, and I'm going to grab Scottish husband whenever he's available. Is your head still chopped off?
My head's still chopped off.
Oh,
It's
no.
because you're very short.
Okay, we're here! I found Scottish husband! Hooray! So I have... You know all about what's happening here.
We're not pretending.
We're not pretending, no.
Okay.
So I've got non-bookish questions, and then I've got Scottish husband related questions.
Okay.
So I figured, because you're a Scottish husband, you should probably be in on some of that.
Involved in some way.
Yeah.
Cool.
Otherwise I can just trash talk you and you won't find out.
Like all the other videos.
I hate Scottish husband, he sucks. Right, so the first question is, what was your, as in my, biggest culture shock when moving to the UK? I don't know if I really had a culture shock. Mostly because my mum is English, and I've been to the UK lots, and I've, like, you know, met you at one point, so that wasn't hugely shocking. But I think the thing about the UK that I don't like is the lack of goldfish crackers.
That is a big issue.
It
We have
is.
spent a lot of money importing goldfish crackers. It's the
Yeah.
reason we don't have a nicer flat.
Spent hundreds of thousands of pounds on goldfish crackers. But my friend Shanna from Canada has sent me goldfish several times.
good.
Thank you. That was really nice.
You saved our quarantine.
Did. Well, it's funny because now goldfish crackers are like, for like the little bag that's like that big, 12 quid. And if you get like a big box, 51.
I have insisted with her, like, I'll cut mini cheddars into the shape of a goldfish because it's the same thing.
It's not the same thing. It is not the same thing.
Okay.
Yes, I miss goldfish crackers. They're great.
Can I just say, for me, the biggest thing that you were stunned by when you moved over was the nature. So we lived
Oh my god, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair. That is fair. That's like an actual answer to this question.
I miss goldfish crackers.
I think about this a lot. Give me a break.
Yeah, so we lived, when you first moved over, we were in the west of Edinburgh, on the kind of the outskirts. And we faced like fields and grass and stuff.
Weird.
And there
Coming
was,
from like Manhattan, this was really weird.
Yeah, and there was rabbits and sheep and like the odd cow, and you were just like,
Me and Sophia the cat would like sit at your big like big glass sliding doors and just look out at the fields because there were bunnies out there all the time, and we'd just be like, because the only nature that we got in my flat in New York were the rats that were basically acting out the Hunger Games in the alleyway outside of my window, which you get used to eventually, but is not very pleasant to think about.
No.
That's a good point. There's that time that I cried when I saw the bunnies.
I've got a picture of that.
You did. Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay, this one's fairly easy, and I'm going to extend it to you as well.
Okay.
What is your favorite version of Pusheen? Mine is Pusheen-a-corn, because Pusheen-a-corn's the best. Where's Pusheen-a-corn?
It's the OG.
She's around here somewhere.
Yeah, there's so many Pusheens, guys. It's
It's another reason we don't have a nicer flat, is I like Pusheen.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's tough. There's so many. Big fan of Detective Sheen, so Sheenlock.
Sheenlock.
The one that's got like the deer stalker and the pipe and the jacket.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
That's kind of peak. There's also Fancy Sheen. That's got the top hat and the mustache.
Monocle.
We have Justine's in-laws' house is
Your
an old.
in-laws, my parents.
That's a valid point. My in-laws' house. It's a nice old house, and that's where Detective Pusheen and Fancy Pusheen live because it's a fancy place.
Yeah.
So it needs fancy
Like
Pusheen.
Pusheen-a-corn or Mermaid Pusheen live here.
Yes.
But the others live
trashy
in the
ones.
country. How dare you? Alright, next question. Top 3 favorite Pokemon followed by 3 least favorite Pokemon.
Oh,
That's hard, right?
that is hard. So I like poison type.
You do,
not
yeah.
In general.
I'm gone in a couple of years.
So big fan of Muck. Really big fan of Gloom. I like
Oh, Gloom, a little drooly, inappropriate face.
best. I will never evolve Gloom.
No.
Gloom is perfect.
Violet
She's
Gloom's cute, but Gloom is perfect.
She's shit. Gloom, that's where it's at.
Gloom's where it's at, okay.
So love Muck, love Gloom. For a third one, it's kind of cliche, but I'm gonna go Machamp. Because growing up playing the video games, I never had any friends.
No friends.
So
I was the same. I had no friends who played Pokemon.
yeah, I had no friends. So I could never trade and get Machamp. So he was like this source of extreme desire for me.
But now we both have Nintendo Switches, so I'm gonna force Mark to get Shield, because I have Sword, and we're
Yeah.
gonna trade Pokemon, and we're each gonna get. I'm gonna get a Gengar, and he's gonna get a Machamp, and it's gonna be the best day ever.
Yeah,
It's a reason for
100%.
getting married. Okay, least favorite.
that's hard.
Yeah.
There's a lot of crap ones. So
A lot of the new ones, like the keychain.
yeah, there's an ice cream cone one. Nah,
It sucks.
yeah, it's really bad. It was Vileplume, obviously,
I don't know
because
why you don't like
she
Vileplume.
ruins Gloom. Charizard.
You don't like Charizard.
It's just too common. Everybody picks Charizard. It's just a bit
It's over.
like he's cool, but it's like the Labrador of Pokemons. It's just generic. Like
He's a fire-breathing dragon, not a Labrador.
meh.
Okay, well, my favorite, Charizard being one of them.
Charizard, Charmeleon, Charmander.
And fuck you, Mark. Charizard.
Yeah.
I really like.
You only let me do 2, by the way.
Oh shit! I'm sorry. Okay, you keep going. It was fun. It was a funny transition.
It
One
was.
more.
That's fine.
One more shit Pokemon.
I probably should have had one to hand before I interrupted. What dick. You know what? Can I bundle all of the birds?
You don't
All-
like birds in general,
I hate
like
birds.
in real life.
Don't like birds. They're
No.
bad animals.
Yeah.
So
Except when they're attacking Julia.
that was hilarious.
My sister got attacked by a seagull in Scotland. There's a photo. It's very
That
funny.
one seagull, the best animal. Everything else,
She's gonna be
trash.
so mad when she sees this.
But yeah, probably anything Pidgey.
Oh, Pidgey sucks.
Pidgey's
yeah.
so boring.
Yeah.
So yeah, Pidgey.
Okay, Pidgey, that's a good one. Okay,
Sorry.
so I like Charizard. I'm always very partial to Fire and Psychic. So I really like Charizard. Alakazam is a good one.
That's a good shout.
And then probably Gengar as well. I really
2
like
more
the
that we
ghost type.
couldn't get because we
Yeah.
had no friends.
Weird how that works out. Generation 1, still have never had, I don't think. And then worst, I agree on the birds.
Thank
Pidgey.
you.
I really don't like all of like the iterations of Pikachu after Pikachu. So like the Plusle and Minim and Meryl and all of that. There's just like
Pikachu.
they're fake Pikachu. They're like, we had a really good thing going with this mouse Pokemon. So,
so not like the evolutions or de-evolutions. Like right, okay.
I don't like them.
Yeah, Maryl's a rip-off. It's just fat Pikachu.
Yeah. And Wigglytuff.
Bold.
Yeah, I like Jigglypuff. Wigglytuff is a source of nightmares. It's terrifying looking. Have you ever seen Wigglytuff?
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
I didn't find it more... If you're going to go terrifying, it's going to be Jinx.
That's true. Yeah, Jinx is pretty scary.
And a little
awful. It was,
questionable.
yeah, Jinx was quite racist initially and had to be amended. Yeah.
Wigglytuff, I'll give you though. It's pretty nightmare fuel.
Big eyes.
No, okay.
Yeah, I don't like that. I like this one because we talked about this a lot. If you somehow acquired a third cat, what would you name them?
So we've went through various potential cat names, like so many, depending on what book we're reading.
Yeah, I have a lot of fantasies about like finding a kitten outside and like bringing it home and raising it to be my own. Yeah. And Sophia loving it. Sophia wouldn't love it. She's sat at our feet right now.
She would not love anything. She's not capable of loving anything other than you.
Yeah, so. She loves me. She doesn't like anyone else. Nope. She tolerates you.
She's grown accustomed to it.
Yeah. What would we name it?
So a lot will depend on the type of cat, because
big fluffy cat.
Yeah, a big fluffy thing is going to be cosmetic. If we got another little black cat, I'd probably want to call it Shrike.
I mean, that would be a good name for Dax.
We could rename her.
Yeah, we could. There's still time. If you've ever read the Hyperion series, that makes a lot more sense to you.
And the other Hyperion one, which was Cassad, we really want to name a cat or animal in some regards a Cassad.
Yeah.
After one of my favourite characters from
Hyperion. One of my favourite characters too, yeah. And that was, I think, the first or second book that you read on my recommendation.
I think possibly first, wasn't it?
And
I know.
I still haven't finished that series, but Mark has.
Or any book I've ever recommended to you.
Shut up. Okay, this is a good one. This is why I wanted you in, especially for non-Scottish husband questions. What are the cat's origin stories?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Shall I do Sophia?
You do Sophia first, because...
So, Sophia, I'll try to abbreviate because I can get very long-winded about this because I love Sophia very much. Basically, I was living... just after I graduated with one of my best friends, desperately wanted a cat. He was deathly allergic to cats. So after our year lease was up and I decided to move out on my own, I was like, gonna get a cat. Still have a month left? Can't get a cat now? Gonna get a cat though. So I kept looking at Craigslist for like cat adoptions and being like, oh, they're so cute. And then I stumbled upon this one that looked exactly like my cat Molly from childhood. And its name was Nellie, which was a terrible name for a cat. And I was like, no. And then 5 minutes later, I was like, hello, I would like to inquire about it. So I went over to this nice lady's house. It's a lady and her daughter in Queens who have like a duplex. And they basically rescue from kill shelters. So I guess the kill shelters release a list of all the animals that are going to be put down. They go and adopt them all and work with like an actual like adoption agency and get them spayed and everything like that. Yeah. So I went and she was like, oh, you're after Nellie, and picks up this like really scrawny, disproportioned, tiny head, tiny body, fully grown legs, and fully grown tail, dumb-looking cat, plops her in my arms, and we just look at each other, and I'm like, you're mine forever. So Nellie was named Nellie because her name was Neil. You'll see this is a theme with our cats. Oh. Nellie was Neil, and then they realized she was a girl. Oh, yeah. And then she got renamed Sophia, and I brought her home, and we've been best friends ever since. So we've lived in 2 boroughs of New York, and we have moved to a new country together. And she tolerates
lived in both Scotland and England.
Yeah, and Scotland and England. So, yeah. And Dax has just jumped up on the desk and is going to knock a bunch of stuff over. Do you want to go into her origin story?
I mean, her origin story is like Chernobyl. Mistakes were made, terrible consequences.
She's like the Balrog. She comes from shadow and fire and gloom and awfulness.
Oh, you had moved over. We had moved into our first kind of permanent place in Edinburgh. And we were an idiot and thought it would be cute to get a cat.
Dax, get down from there!
Oh no. She's demonstrating her value to us right now.
She's in the bookshelf. She doesn't really fit. Anyway, sorry.
And we went with cheapness over quality. So we spent...
we learned our lesson.
Yeah. We went on Gumtree, spent 50 quid on a cat. We got to the place and the lady handed him to us because for a while Dax was a Benjamin.
We intended to get a boy because we figured that Sophia would get on with a boy better than another girl, which was the plan.
Didn't work.
No.
So they handed us Benjamin,
He's
and
great.
they were like, "Oh, careful with this one. He's a handful." And
I'm sure he's fine.
yeah. We got her home, realised she was Dax. Realised she was a girl, so we called her Dax after Jadzia Dax in DS9.
As opposed to Ben Sisko, also of DS9.
And that was basically it. And we've kind of regretted it
Ruining our lives ever since.
She's so cute, but she's an
so
asshole.
cute. Yeah, she sucks.
The worst. She made it into my wedding speech, talking about what a dick this cat is.
She also, while we were away for our wedding and then for our honeymoon, Mark had this sleep mask that would plug into your phone. It had like earbuds so you could block out all the wonderful screaming sounds of Dax. So she hated it because she couldn't wake him up anymore. So we got back from our 2 weeks away, got ready for bed and everything. He pulled out his sleep mask and the wire had been chewed through and completely disconnected. She opened the drawer, chewed through the wire and closed the drawer, and we had no idea. It's just an absolute nightmare of a cat.
She's also recently, we got face masks for going out into public. And mine has these little chew marks in the strap on one side. So it's slightly frayed and it's nearly about to break. So she's legitimately trying to kill me.
And me as well, because
she's
if you get
rooting for
sick,
the
I get
virus.
sick.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's our cat.
Yeah, she kind of sucks, but we love her so much. I love Dax.
I can give or take her.
No, you can't. You love her. Right, okay, now we're on the actual Scottish husband questions.
Okay.
So, how did you meet Scottish husband? Tinder.
I feel like we've got different stories on this.
I need to get over it. I need to get over the fact that we met on Tinder because I was really embarrassed about that for a really long time.
Why? I mean, it's embarrassing if it was bad, but you literally married me.
It's true. I'm one for one on people I met from Tinder.
I'm not.
The worst. I had a great success story, but basically
I had a bunch.
I'm cutting that out.
No, it's funny. Come on.
I hate you. Anyway, basically, the much abridged version that I'm sure he will interject many times. I went to Dublin, Edinburgh, London, and Paris with one of my friends. And she was very excited about Tinder and downloading Tinder while we were on holiday. And I was like, well, if you're just gonna ignore me and go on Tinder, I'm gonna go on Tinder. Yep. So in Edinburgh, I was like, because at this point I'd realized my parents were going to be moving over. They actually moved over when we were in London, but we missed them by 2 hours. And I was like, I'm going to figure out where I want to live, because I'm sure as fuck not staying in New York anymore. I was very miserable. So I was going on Tinder and asking dudes for their recommended places to go that tourists wouldn't go to, and everyone was really accommodating, especially this guy who works in hotels and sends Americans around all the time. Yep. So we ended up meeting up after a false start, when you pretended you had to work late but really you just wanted to go home. Which is fair enough.
The problem was I was home.
Oh, you were home.
I was on an early shift and I was
okay.
home, and I was supposed to. I lived on outskirts of Edinburgh on the west side, and I was like, I'm gonna get a bus. So we both bailed on the first night.
Yeah, and then the second night we actually met, and it was very nice. And then I ran away from you before we could kiss because I freaked out.
Yes.
And then I shouted my slightly unusual name to you, told you to friend me on Facebook, and you were convinced that I was lying.
Yep, 100%. Thought you'd made it up, but I found you the next day, played it cool, and messaged you 7 hours after.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Right, okay. Moving on. Okay, top 5 Highland romance covers.
Covers? Mm-hmm. Covers is tough because they're pretty samey, guys.
Oh, kind of the same.
I mean, it's a somewhat unrealistic depiction of a Scottish man in a kilt with a sword, with a castle in the background and a buxom wench. That's basically it.
Yeah.
And I have some favourite titles.
Okay. What are your favourite titles? 'Cause
absolute
romance puns are romance title puns are the best thing ever.
They're my crack. Mm-hmm. I absolutely love them. The best one is It's Getting Scott in Here. Which is absolute genius. A Scot in the Dark.
That's a good one.
Which works on, it's layered. That's great. Mm-hmm. What are the other ones? I feel like there's some great ones.
Getting Scott here. Scott Under the Covers?
Yes.
I think I bought that one for Asha recently for her birthday.
Yeah, which is perfect. So those are some of my biggies. There's some great covers, like there's some great romance covers in general are amazing.
Yeah.
Because they're just barmy.
Yeah.
I know there's a question about worst, so I'll leave that for later. But no, there's not one cover that massively stands out. It's more the titles, because I'm a massive sucker for pun romance titles. So yeah, it's Scott in the Dark, and It's Getting Scott in Here. Probably peak level. They're my top tier.
It's not a Scottish romance, but one of my favorite recent ones is Two Rogues Don't Make a Right.
So good. so good. About gay rogues.
Yes.
It's the best.
Oh, it's amazing. I haven't read that. I need to read that.
Forgive me, I can't remember the author, but there is an Indian lady who writes romance, and one of her titles is Tika Chance on Me. Fucking brilliant.
So good.
I haven't read it, but I want to just because of the title.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, that's half the reason that you get drawn into a romance.
Two rogues make a right is I might read that just because of the title.
We might have it on the Kindle.
Probably.
We share a library with my sister who reads a lot of romance, so we might actually have it.
I'm gonna read it. So.
Okay, what is the best thing that Scottish Husband has done in quarantine to make you smile? There's no doubt about this one. I had a lot of anxiety troubles, as I always do, particularly at the beginning of quarantine, and I was having a minor meltdown, and Scottish Husband had a panic buy, which is probably the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, I would argue that. Hi.
Bernard the Sloth! He's came vacuum packed. He's fucking huge. He's got really
massive.
gangly arms. Little legs. He came vacuum packed. He's that big. And
it was amazing. He's completely squished into this thing that's that size. So I hadn't told Justine that she was getting anything. So it was just imagine just this tiny squished face in a vacuum seal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And she was like, what the hell? And I got a knife and pierced it, and he just inflated and appeared. And you've never been so happy.
It was beautiful. I think I might have cried. But that's
you cried?
That's just
Well, it's a day ending in Y.
It's true. What did you learn about Scottish Husband after you got married and totally love about him? Other than Bernard, do you know what my answer would be?
No.
Is your complete and total love and devotion of RuPaul's Drag Race.
100%.
It was the night before the wedding. We were all hanging out, me and you and my sister, just kind of whiling away the time until we kicked Scottish Husband out. And Julia was like, we should really watch RuPaul's Drag Race. First of all, Justine, you've seen some of it. I had watched some of season 2. And, Mark, you would love it because you're British and you are genetically predisposed to love all things camp. And so we were like, great. So we started with season 4 and literally
so
we devoured all of it in 5 months? 4 months? Yeah.
It's gotten to the point I've broken author sister. She's like, I'm done, guys.
They can't do this anymore.
But no, we have seen every single episode, every season.
We've been to shows.
Yeah, a bunch of shows actually.
You pulled together at some point, you were like, here's a list of all the queens who are touring through the UK in the next 6 months. These are all the shows that I would like to go to. Please let me know if you want to come with.
I did a better itinerary than their managers.
Oh yeah.
I worked it out.
It was pretty insane. It was great.
Yeah.
But yeah, your love of drag and I don't know. I know a lot of my female friends watch it, and their partners are very confused by Drag Race and won't watch it with them. But you're just like, oh, is this season 6, episode 3, where Adore Delano does this? And you're just like, yes, it is. Thank you. It's very sweet.
Yeah. No, it's the best. I mean, it varies. There's some good, some not so great seasons, but I love that show so much. I've seen every episode of Drag Race. I think I've seen every episode of which is Trixie and Katja's show.
I'm Trixie, you're Katja in this situation.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
With your makeup.
How dare you? With your wig.
with my drug problem. Yeah, no, I love it. I think it's fantastic, and yeah, we've binge watched the hell of it.
Oh my god, yeah.
And now I'm the obnoxious one that keeps pestering you and your sister to watch episodes with me.
I've actually had to be like, I don't want to watch the new season until it's all out. Please leave me alone.
I don't watch it until the episode is out more than an hour.
Yeah, oh my god, you're up at like 2 o'clock in the morning, like watching in bed.
Shaming me.
Yes. So, Scottish husband's list of all things he loves/hates in Scottish romance covers. This is the one that you were referring to earlier.
Yeah, so there's some biggies that I don't like.
Yeah.
So big ones are, and this is true for all Scottish. Hi, Bernard. This is true for all Scottish romances. Is they never wear sporrans, and that bothers me.
And if they do, they don't wear them correctly. Side sporrans.
Sometimes like on the hip, and I'm like, no, that's wrong.
How dare you?
So lack of sporrans is a biggie. Lack of belt sometimes. Sometimes they'll just be like wearing the fabric around, and it's like that's gonna fall down. Like that's not how that works. Gravity is a thing.
Not in Scotland, it isn't.
Not in Scotland. What else is there? So
Great
there's
kilts.
the biggest. Well, yeah, great kilts. Great kilts are the one where like it's got the fabric all around the chest and stuff.
You just like roll into it and it's not very sexy to try to get off.
Also nobody should wear a great kilt. You just look like a knob. Don't do it. It encourages too many tourists to turn up in Edinburgh trying to wear a great kilt, and everybody thinks you look like a knob. Don't do it.
PSA from Scottish Husband.
Yeah. And the biggest sin you can make is you wear a kilt with the pleats at the back. So I have seen a couple covers where the pleats are like at the front. That's unacceptable. That's completely unacceptable.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We were at my friend's wedding, actually just after we had gotten engaged. We were at my friend's wedding in the States, and the wedding was over, the reception was over, we were back at the hotel that we were all staying at, and this group of guys, clearly from another wedding, came in, and they were all wearing like black kilts, but the pleats were all in the front for every single one of them, and he was like, do I tell them? What do I do? Like, I feel like I'm betraying myself by not telling them, but also they look like idiots, and that's hilarious.
The worst thing is, like, it wasn't tartan. They were just wearing plain black kilts with the pleats at the front. So at that point, you're just wearing a skirt wrong. Yeah. Like, I'm sorry, if it's
you're
not
wearing
tartan.
A skirt poorly.
Yeah. But no, other than that, there's nothing else about the covers. I mean, sometimes there's like weird mixing of like that's not Scottish. So you'll get a guy in a kilt with like a centurion helmet and like leather bands and stuff, and it's like, is this Spartacus? Like what is going on here?
Another great romance.
Another great romance, yeah. So there's a lot of like melding of cultures and stuff. And my biggest pet peeve is Scotland isn't just the Highlands. Where are the Central Belt romances? Or the Lowlands?
Yeah.
Where's the romance in Galashiels, goddammit?
The Kukubri romance.
Exactly. Just because nobody can pronounce it doesn't mean that they don't feel love.
I don't even know how to spell it, but if I ever saw it, I wouldn't know what it was.
So as an Edinburgh person, I would like some Central Belt romances, please. There's a trove of material there that is going unplundered. So
Absolutely.
make it happen.
Y'all. Okay, the last question is, what is your favorite book of the year so far?
Ooh.
You've been tearing through some stuff, but you're a little slumpy right now, I think.
I'm very slumpy so far. It's mostly been video games and binge eating.
So much Animal Crossing and stress dominoes.
So many. It's got to the point we don't need to put the delivery instructions anymore. It's just guys, it's us.
They're referring to us by name, asking how things are going.
Yeah. So actually my favourite book of the year is one I can't talk about, and it's Author Sister's new upcoming book.
It made you cry.
Shut up! No, it didn't. It made me feel manly things. Want to put up a shelf or something.
That's your benchmark for masculinity, is putting up shelves.
Look, shelves that I put up.
That's
glorious.
True. There is a reading vlog where the shelves behind us literally fell on me because Scottish Husband didn't put them up. I put them up, and now they have not fallen down.
No, 100% not fallen down.
Yeah, still up there.
Watching them as they fall. But yeah, it's a great book, guys, and I don't think it's been announced or anything, so I can't say anything. And she's scary and she'll hurt me. So
she will. She knows where you live.
She does. She will mess you up.
She'll steal all your turnips and animals.
That's true. But no, that is great, and I'm excited to talk about that because I love that book. But my favourite book of this year, probably so far, well, that I've read this year, is a book called On the Beach.
Oh God! Why?
On the Beach is a not quite post-apocalyptic. It's more like during the apocalypse. As soon as quarantine happened, I was like, I need to read some depressing stuff. So it's from the late 1950s, and it's about like post nuclear war, and there's this. It's not very realistic, but it's the understanding at the time. So the idea is that there's radiation that's traveling from the northern hemisphere down the way. So this takes place in Australia as this radioactive cloud slowly moves further south.
Bleak.
And it is so bleak because everybody knows they're going to die. That's not a spoiler, like that's the whole premise of the book, is like everybody has this understanding that they're going to die, and they're talking about these things that they're doing and going to plant in the garden for next year and stuff. And
but there will be no next year.
There won't. And every conversation, no matter how mundane, has this just tinge of like meaninglessness and sadness to it. And I foolishly, on my part, was describing this book to Justine like right after all the COVID-19 lockdown stuff was happening, and you weren't in necessarily a great place for me to tell you about like radiation clouds and dying babies and stuff.
Yeah,
so
there are a lot of dying babies and a lot of like buying toys for children that they'll never get to play with and stuff. And it's just like
you're like, I was like, I was getting to the end and be like, are you crying?
Are you okay? You haven't even read this book. Why are you so sad?
But no, it's really sad. If you are of a fragile disposition, I would wait until things are happier in the world. But I really loved that book. It features pretty high up on like best post-apocalyptic fiction. And I absolutely adored it. But it's not happy, and don't tell your
fragile spouse.
Sensitive wives about it.
Or else they'll cry on the sofa.
They'll cry a
They're
lot.
sloths.
Yeah, I think that might have been me telling you about that. Might have been what precipitated Bernard. So.
Yeah, I think actually that's true. Just sent me spiraling.
Yeah. So sorry, but it's a great book.
It's
so
worth
read
it. We got Bernard now. So that is it for this Q&A video. Thank you, Scottish Husband, for coming in and chatting. It's always fun to have you here.
I know, I like it. You should invite me more.
Okay, fine, I will. If there are any lingering questions that you want to ask either of us or Bernard or something, let us know in the comments below. But until then, I post bookish content to this channel fairly frequently, so go ahead and hit subscribe, check back soon, and I will see you next time.
Bye.